Debbie. This is Cheryl Moores. I'm a victim specialist with the FBI, and I'm calling to discuss the Sunset Mesa investigation. I'm calling because you've been identified as someone that may have had a loved one that was cremated at Sunset Mesa in Montrose, Colorado. At this time, I don't have information that your loved one was a victim in this case. We are working with the Colorado Mesa University.
Colorado Funeral Home is under investigation, accused of selling human body parts.
The state shuts down a funeral home after a family says they got cement instead of ashes of their loved one.
The FBI raids a Colorado funeral home.
This comes after complaints that it doubles as a donor services facility.
Horrifying details are coming out about what happened to the bodies that were being handled by a funeral home in Montrose.
The FBI is expanding its investigation into a funeral home in Montrose.
For the first time, families who were recently told by the FBI what happened to their loved ones are now speaking out.
And if there's 5 of us, there's 3 people that have been touched by this. You can't go anywhere without meeting somebody that has been touched by this. It's not secret. It's not like the dark web, you know. It's open. And it's like, well, then how did I not know?
I believe that a lot of this goes on throughout the country, and I think that it needs to be regulated. I mean, we have inspectors inspecting restaurants and hospitals and everywhere, but not funeral homes. My father was formerly a uranium miner, and we found out he had lung cancer in November of 2015 down here at St. Mary's. He'd been carrying it for a couple years. He was in a lot of pain, but my dad was the kind of person that wouldn't even take an aspirin. And when the pain got bad enough, he finally came down here, and they did the testing, and he had lung cancer that had spread to his other organs. And there was nothing they could do.
He was funny. He was a sweet guy. We were just here in Colorado taking care of his parents. He loved to go fishing all the time, and this is a great place for fishing. And we were both retired, and he had what they call a widowmaker heart attack, and he was talking to me, and then he was dead.
She didn't have anybody else. We were each other's family. And I thought we'd have a couple of months here. She had bladder cancer, and she was kind of a procrastinator. I kept lecturing her, and then I realized that, I'm not doing any good, especially when she was finally diagnosed stage 4.
It was a while later, I did get a call from an agent, and they told me that if I wanted to know, they did know where my dad's body went, that he had been sold as a whole body, which was this tiny little piece of solace that at least he hadn't been dismembered, butchered and cut up. It was a tiny piece of solace, and I said, yes, I want to know everything.
The FBI called me, and told me that my husband's body was sold to a third-party body broker in Chicago, but they located his head. And his head is being held in FBI evidence. The rest of his body is unrecoverable.
So the problem is, Laura isn't Laura now. Laura became 061707 through a forged donor consent form. I did not consent to that. I absolutely did not consent to that.
It's grief that never ends. It's closure that will never come. And it was like he died all over again when we found out in February what had happened. And, you know, to me, it felt like he'd been murdered after he died.
You don't do this unless you want to be a live donor or you want to donate so they can figure out a disease or something like that. But in the laws, my husband couldn't be, but she cut him up anyways. So I have that potential guilt that these kids possibly could have got infected with hepatitis C from his body parts.
I really, really need to call my friend Laura to tell her about this horrible and bizarre thing that happened to my friend Laura. And every time I think about Laura, I think about Sunset Mesa, because they're factually attached to each other now.
She's given us all a life sentence that, you know, with our loved ones, it's a life sentence for us that we will always know what happened or not know what happened. And most of us will not get any body or body parts back.
I don't know how the hell I got tied up in this mess. I don't know. It's just, I didn't know death was such a big business.
That's the hard part for me. I told her that a lot. It's okay to let go now, you're safe. I will make sure what you want to happen will happen. I'm gonna take care of you, you're safe. It's okay to let go. But she wasn't safe.